Today we're actually be talking about type A versus type B.
Why you look at me?
Because I feel like, especially at medicine, there's this big hoopla about you have type A people and type B people. I think we were just talking about how we're different as far as how we approach our studies, and we just started. That's how we kind of got on this topic, thinking about like type A and type B personalities.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we are like very, very opposite when it comes on to how we study, how we approach life. And so, opposites attract. And so that's what, works for us. And of course, I am the type A in the relationship. And he's
type B. So let's talk about that first. Let's talk about what is type A and what is type B. So the terminology, kind of originally came from, some study back in the day by some cardiologists. We're just trying to see if there was a personality type that was more likely to have, cardiovascular disease. And type A was described as kind of like well organized, anxious, competitive, and they describe, type B personality as the opposite. Not very stress prone. We like to enjoy experiences. We like to feel our way through things.
Easygoing, just floating.
Easygoing, not competitive. They just like to enjoy things, and we tend to be the more creative ones. But I don't know how I feel about the study or how valid that is as far as cardiovascular disease. But in general, I think as far as these personality things go, I think it's more of a spectrum, honestly.
Agree.
Even though I can definitely see how I lean towards B.
Okay, so he is strongly a type B, and I am more of the one on the spectrum of a type A. So I do believe that I am a schedule person. I like to have my life organized, but I do know when to be like, all right, you're doing too much, calm down, enjoy life a little bit. Now, of course, I'm the person who is enjoying life and also like, yeah, I could be studying right now, but I still enjoy life. Like, I still take those breaks. I still try to do stuff. So I think that for me is a balance, and I'm less of a strong type A and more of like a weak type A, if that makes sense.
So let's talk about that more. You said like, you're a type A, so you like to you have to schedule. So talk about like, how would you approach upcoming tests, or how would you approach
life? I think one of the biggest times where I made like a solid schedule and I was just like, this is my schedule, was when I was studying for step 1. I literally go in and I'm like, this is what I'm doing by the hour, and that's what I did. And so I feel like that was one of those times where I was very rigid with myself, like, look, this is what you have to do and this is when you need to get it done. But like for classes, I do make a schedule every day. Like, I like to be able to think things off at the end of the day. I feel like that gives me that feeling of I've done something today. I've really gotten things done, and it's nothing more beautiful than seeing my entire list ticked off. What about you? How do you think with your type B personality?
It's really difficult for me to fit I'll say it's difficult for me to set my own rigid kind of like study parameters and stay within them. Now, like if I have to go to a class and that class is like an hour and 30 minutes, I can do that. But like, how I approach studying, like I would just say, I know this is the material I have to cover. I'm fine with, dedicating the rest of my time outside of classes to going over that material,
Yeah.
But, I think over time that what I've noticed for me over time, like not having structure and not having kind of like that rigid aspect actually burns you out long term. So even though I was kind of like avoiding, the stress from having a rigid schedule on a day-to-day basis, long term, not having that structure would end up making me stressed.
And I think the same thing with a type A personality, that, you know, with that burnout long term, because I do feel like, you know, that wanting to always having a schedule, wanting to make sure you get everything done on your schedule doesn't give you time to breathe. And, you know, all of us, we all procrastinate in some way. And I feel like with a type A personality, I know for me, I procrastinate, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I need to be studying, I need to be studying, I need to be studying, I need to be studying. And so that can cause more stress. So I do think that both, like you said, with your personality being burnt out, I think with a type A personality, it's easy to burn out too.
Yeah. And, well, one of the benefits is, though, like you kind of talked about, like, burning out, and as far as feeling stressed, I feel like I rarely get to the point to where I'm overwhelmed, you know. I feel like type A people, when they're in those like rigid schedules, you know, they're feeling that pressure every single day.
That's true.
Whereas for me, you know, the only pressure I feel may be on exam day, and even then, you know, I kind of like, I don't feel overwhelmed, you know. Like, yes, it's a pressure and stressful environment, but it's within that time span, and after that I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm not going to be studying after that exam, you know. So I feel like that kind of like, my approach is kind of like, I know what I have to study, you know, and Shanley sees me, like, when I study, there's increments where I'm like extremely focused, and then you'll see me just like stop. So I may be studying longer because, you know, I'll let that stress build up and stop, versus her, she'll go. Yeah.
So like, and the thing about it for us is that we kind of balance each other out. I think, you know, I, being that type A person, I'm always like, hey, study. So, you know, if we have a study day at home and, you know, we both in the same office, it's like, okay, I have my rigid schedule and he has his lax schedule, and it's kind of like, I look over and I see him and he's not studying. I'm like, hey, study. You know, you took your break too long. And then he'll be like, all right, you know, let's take a break. Have you eaten? Because I'm notorious for going and not eating. So, you know, so we balance each other out, and I think that, you know, you need a combination of both.
Exactly.
To you know, to be successful. Like, I feel like it's important to have that type A rigidity, but also have that type B flexibility, so you can, you know, so you can balance yourself. I think that's important.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I realized. Like, for me, because I wasn't creating schedules, and because I was just kind of like saying, all my free time will go to studying. It actually, like I said before, it burned me out. Like, over time, I would just burn out. I would just be kind of like, you know, not motivated, not as, you know, focused. And I think that we're, you know, adopting that kind of type A focus to like set a schedule helped me out, is that I was able to have that time where I would take my breaks, but I was able to enjoy it better, you know? So like, you know, an hour on, 10 minutes off. And in that 10 minutes, I felt accomplished, and I felt, you know, just better about myself. And when I would actually be able to say like, oh, I'm studying 5 hours today, and after that 5 hours a day is over, I can enjoy myself. And then, you know, I start to feel less guilty about, you know, not completing stuff. You know, I can actually enjoy my breaks more fully. So.
I think personally for me, it works for me. You know, like being that type A, having that type A personality just really works for me. You know, I've tried, you know, just going with the flow, and I realize that that's not the kind of person that I am. I can't, if I go with the flow, I'll get nothing done. And at the end of the day, I'm complaining to Josh about how I didn't get anything done. So I have to break up my day. And for me, it's not necessarily that I'm trying to get everything done today. It's like, all right, if I have 10 assignments to do for this week, it's going to get broken up. All right, so it needs to be done by Friday. Here's how I'm going to break them up. So I'm not going to wait until Thursday evening to get them done, unless I'm on my surgery rotation and I'm tired. But I'm not going to wait until Thursday evening to get them done. I'm going to space them out and say I can do 2 today, or 3 today. So by Thursday, I'm done. And that's just kind of how I am. I like to like try to like organize things in a way where it's less stressful because I've split them up. and I need to get them done, and I'm ticking them off my list as I go, and it makes me feel so accomplished.
Now, another thing they say about type A people is they say that they're competitive. Do you think that you're competitive?
No. I'm not. I don't think that I'm competitive. I don't want to be competitive.
So you're not a gunner or nothing?
I'm not. And, you know, I don't know how to be a gunner because I more so want to make sure that we all get where we need to be. You know what I mean? I think, and that's one thing that I like about being at Morehouse, honestly, is that we are, you know, the cliche, the family. And so I enjoy helping others and other people helping me. And that's what I think that, you know, is what helps you in med school, especially because it's so hard. It's important to have that support of your classmates. And so that's why I mentioned, like, I'm not a full type A because I don't believe in being competitive. Because why would I compete with you when I can help you and we both get there? You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna try to compete with you and try to outrun you because we both need to get where we're going, and we can get there faster if we work together. That's me personally.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like something that's really important, especially in like the medical realm. Like I feel as though a lot more of us, at least the medical students I know, are moving away from that competitive mindset to a more like community-based mindset, just because medicine is kind of changing. We're more like team set up anyway. I do think we still have gunner culture. I don't even think gunner culture is necessarily a bad thing. But I do think competitiveness can be kind of like toxic. I think, well, the way I see gunner is just, you know, you're just really committed to, you know, achieving your goals. And I think that's okay as long as you don't knock other people down and throw them under the bus on your way there. Yeah.
But do you think that like a type B personality can be a gunner or can be competitive?
So I feel like type B people, we tend to be the ones who are more social. So I think social, creative. So I think we can be competitive, and not in the bookwork sense, but I think we can be very competitive when it comes to like the organizations, like on campus organization, like who's gonna have the best fundraiser, who's gonna have, you know, the most, you know, event, because I feel like we're real social, we're more like free, creative. So I think we can be competitive in those realms. We're not like really like book competitive, like we're not gonna shout out the answer in the class. But I think we do tend to be like more social, more extroverted. So I think in that sense, we like to be heard, we like to be seen. So I feel like that can come off as competitive, but we just like people to like
and that's understandable. And I think again, like that's kind of what balances both of us, because I feel like, you know, you're the social butterfly of the relationship and I am more of the introverted. You're gonna see me before you hear me. Like I'm gonna be really quiet in the back. That's kind of the personality I have until you get to know me. And you know,
flips.
And then the social butterfly, you're gonna hear him first. And so it balances us.
Yeah. So type A, type B personalities. Leave a comment beneath the video and tell us if you're type A or you're type B.
And thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting us. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Y'all see our tree? We got to debut our tree real quick.